I spent months building something I thought would change everything. A small AI tool I created on the side, meant to make work faster, cleaner, and honestly, way less boring. I wasn't trying to step on anyone's toes, but wanted to make things better. But instead of praise, I got fired. No warning. No thank you. Just a cold HR email and a security escort out the door. The official reason: unauthorized use of company resources. But that wasn't the real story. That was just the surface. My boss, Daniel, is the kind of guy who smiled at your ideas in meetings, then quietly took credit for them the moment your back was turned. I had seen him do it to others. I just never thought I'd be next. When I showed him the AI tool I'd built, he called it promising, then told me to put it on pause. Days later, he pitched something eerily similar to the executive board, claiming it was his own idea. The same interface, the same features, even the same name. I was stunned. And then I was gone. But I didn't stay silent. I couldn't not. After all the work I'd put in, not after watching him stand on a stage at one of the biggest tech conferences in the country, presenting my tool like it was his brainchild. Cameras flashing, crowd cheering. While I sat in the back row, invisible. That's when I made a decision. I wasn't going to just sit there and watch. I had proof mails, code commits, time-stamped demos. I just needed the right moment to strike. And when that moment came, in front of hundreds of developers and investors, I did something no one saw coming. But what happened next? I wasn't prepared for. Rewind a few months earlier. I was just another developer grinding long hours at a mid-sized tech firm in San Francisco. Our team was drowning in repetitive tasks, manual data sorting, endless formatting, hours spent debugging things AI could easily handle. So, in my spare time, I started building a tool that could automate those mind-numbing parts of our workflow. It wasn't flashy, just smart, efficient, and actually useful. I called it TaskMorph. It worked quietly in the background, learning how we worked, then speeding everything up. I even ran a few quiet tests. Productivity shot up by nearly 40%. I thought people would be excited at first. Daniel pretended to be. He pulled me aside after a team review and said, "You're onto something. Let's keep this between us for now." I thought that meant he wanted to refine it together, maybe roll it out company-wide. What I didn't realize is, that was the moment I handed him everything. After that day, he stopped looping me into meetings, and every time I asked for an update, he brushed it off. Just waiting for the right time, he'd say. Turns out, the right time was when he could take it on stage at a conference in Vegas, slap his name on it, and launch it as part of our company's innovation initiative. The worst part? My termination felt like it had been carefully timed. 2 weeks before the conference, out of nowhere, I was accused of using internal tools for unauthorized testing. It was so vague, it barely made sense, but the paperwork was ready. My access was cut off within an hour. They boxed up my desk while I was still arguing with HR. I knew it wasn't random. Someone wanted me gone before that presentation. Question was, how much deeper did it go? And who else was in on it? After getting fired, I went silent for a while. I didn't tell my friends much. My family thought I'd quit voluntarily. I was too embarrassed to admit the truth that I got pushed out of the company I'd helped build tools for, just so someone else could cash in on my work. But as the days passed, something kept bothering me. The code Daniel showed at the conference wasn't just inspired by mine, was mine, line by line. I recognized every function, every comment, even the bugs. That's when it stopped being about pride. It became about proof. I dug through my backups, checking commit logs, screenshots, Slack messages, and the more I found, the clearer it became. He hadn't just stolen my idea. He had copied everything, and worse, he had help. One of the senior engineers on the AI team, Raj, had access to our private Git repos. I remembered once sharing a test version with him months ago during a late-night debug session. Back then, I thought we were collaborating. I wondered if he'd handed it over behind my back. I messaged him after I got fired. No reply. Then a week later, his LinkedIn showed he'd been promoted to head of AI research. Coincidence? I didn't think so, but that wasn't the only thing off. I heard from Claire, a junior dev who used to be on my team. She told me there had been whispers inside the company about some compliance concerns with the AI rollout. Apparently, legal had flagged some data usage issues tied to the tool. But instead of fixing it, Daniel had allegedly buried the warnings before launch. If that was true, then this wasn't just about stealing code, could mean he launched a faulty product just to impress investors. The deeper I looked, the messier it got. And I knew if I was going to bring the truth out, I'd have to do it publicly, where they couldn't bury me again. I booked a cheap flight to Vegas with nothing but a backpack, my laptop, and a folder of files that could blow the whole thing open. The tech conference was massive, thousands of people, startup booths everywhere, investors floating around with press tags, and a giant banner with Daniel's smug face under the words "Revolutionizing Workflow with AI." I stood in the crowd as he rehearsed his keynote on stage the night before. I watched him smile and run through the exact demo I had written. The nerves in my chest were fire. But I didn't come here to watch. That night, I barely slept. I kept double-checking everything: my timestamps, emails, prototype files, even a video clip from a team meeting where I first demoed Taskmorph. The plan wasn't clear yet, but I knew one thing: if I didn't act now, he'd walk away with credit, money, and maybe even a deal that could change his life. With my work, and the worst part, no one in the audience would ever know, unless I told them. That morning, I saw my chance. One of the panel moderators hosting the session was someone I'd met months ago at a local dev meet. Lena. I pulled her aside just before the session started and gave her a USB drive with a quiet, "Please just look at this before you let him finish." Her face tensed when she opened the folder. She didn't say anything, just nodded once and walked off. Minutes later, Daniel took the stage. The lights dimmed. The crowd leaned in. Cameras rolled. I sat near the front, heart racing, palms sweating, staring at the screen as he started speaking. He was halfway through his opening when something unexpected happened. Lena stepped forward, interrupting the flow with a mic in hand. And in that instant, everything around us shifted. Just as the room hushed, Lena's voice cut through the buzz. "Before we continue, there's something important the audience deserves to hear." The crowd shifted, curious but confused. Daniel's confident smile flickered for a split second, but he quickly recovered and gestured for her to go ahead. That's when Lena dropped the bombshell. She revealed the files I'd given her. The emails showing the real author of the AI tool and proof that the version Daniel was presenting wasn't his original work. The room buzzed louder, whispers turning into murmurs. But then, just when I thought things might finally turn in my favor, the unexpected happened. Daniel didn't back down. Instead, he pushed back hard, accusing me of breaching company policy by sharing confidential documents publicly. He claimed that the data Lena showed was misleading and stolen, painting me as the real troublemaker trying to sabotage the company's reputation. The panelists looked torn, and the audience grew restless. No one knew who to believe. Suddenly, the stakes escalated beyond stolen ideas and office politics. An announcement came through the conference's official CHANNEL. Legal representatives from Daniel's company were preparing to take action against me for intellectual property theft and unauthorized disclosure. The buzz shifted from admiration to doubt. Was I really the whistleblower exposing a lie, or was Daniel right? Was I risking everything on a gamble that could ruin my career forever? I felt the tension crushing down. The room was charged with uncertainty, and all eyes were on us. My heart pounded, not just because I was standing against a powerful boss, but because I knew this battle wasn't just about me anymore. It was about the truth behind AI innovation, corporate ethics, and what happens when someone fights to reclaim their work. The next moments would change everything. But the question was, how far was I willing to go to expose the lie? Just as Daniel's legal team started gearing up to strike, Lena turned to the crowd and said, "There's one more thing." She clicked a button on her laptop, and the big screen behind the stage flickered to life. What appeared was a live stream from a security camera One-Eyed managed to secretly access earlier that morning. It showed Daniel in a late-night meeting with Raj, the senior engineer. The conversation was clear. Daniel handing over sensitive documents, discussing how to present the AI tool as his own work, and even mentioning plans to make sure the original creator doesn't get in the way. The room fell silent. The proof was undeniable. Daniel's confident facade cracked, and for the first time, the audience saw the real story, the theft, the lies, and the cover-up. Panelists whispered urgently among themselves, and Lena's calm voice cut through. This isn't just about code. It's about integrity in tech, about the people behind the tools. Daniel tried to speak, but his words felt hollow. Within minutes, conference organizers stepped in, announcing an immediate investigation and putting a hold on. After the conference chaos settled, I spent the next few weeks working closely with legal teams and industry watchdogs. The investigation into Daniel's actions unfolded quickly, and it became clear his choices weren't just unethical. They skirted serious legal lines. Raj's sudden promotion, it was reversed. The company issued a formal apology, acknowledging my role as the true creator of the AI tool. That recognition meant more than just credit. It meant my work was finally valued, but the anonymous message lingered in my mind. The AI tool I'd built, Taskmorph, had grown beyond what I imagined. Modified versions were popping up in unexpected places, some used ethically, others raising red flags. I realized that creating AI comes with responsibilities I hadn't fully understood before. It's not just about coding or innovation. It's about the impact these tools have on people's lives, on privacy, and on trust. This experience changed me. I'm no longer just a developer quietly building software behind a screen. I'm someone who knows that standing up for your work and values can be hard, but necessary. It's about more than winning a fight. It's about more than winning a feisty and transparency in tech. If there's one takeaway from my story, it's this: innovation should never come at the cost of integrity. And if you believe in what you create, don't be afraid to fight for it, Tevin, when the odds seem stacked against you. The tech world moves fast, but real change happens when people hold each other accountable. So, if you're working on something that matters, remember it's not just about the tool itself. It's about who you are, the values you carry, and the courage to protect what's yours. And sometimes, the biggest impact comes from telling your story.